Live.
Good evening. My name is Paloma Smith. I am the chair of the Human Relations Commission for the City of Palo Alto. I'd like to welcome you to our usual June meeting, usually scheduled June meeting. Before I go any further, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that Commissioner Krause and Commissioner Eberly, this is their first meeting, so we are grateful for each of them being with us tonight. Staff, may we go into roll call, please?
Commissioner Eberly,
Here.
Commissioner Krause,
Here.
Commissioner Regier,
Here.
Commissioner Savage,
Here.
Chair Smith,
Present.
Councilmember Stone.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. We have one deletion that I'm going to go through on tonight. It is item 4, consideration of response to City Council regarding the proposed fiscal year 2020 city operating budget, particularly in reference to the Human Services Department and the areas that impact it. The reason I am pulling this item is because during the city process, they have not really had any further, we don't have enough information, like they haven't gotten to that part of the process yet. So there isn't like anything to actually get into. So that's why I'm requesting the deletion of that item.
Could we have a discussion on that? Or is that with the chairs? Is that something that the chair can just do?
No, I am unclear whether, do we need a motion, staff? I believe we do, right?
I believe we do. I'm a little unclear on that as well.
Okay, I'll go, you know what, I'll go for, just for consensus sake, we'll go with a motion. Commissioner Krause, do you have your hand up?
No.
Well,
Okay, Commissioner Regier?
Oh, I was just saying, are we having a discussion on this now or?
Yeah,
or-
yes. I'm gonna need a motion.
I feel that I've been participating in the budget meetings, the community meetings. And I feel that our job as a commission is not just to do HISRAP and the things that I think the budget they have kind of outlined. And we're not going to meet before they can finalize the budget. And I think our duties as commissioners are to talk about how it impacts the community and its residents. And I feel that we should have a discussion of the operating budget, because I feel like it does impact our community members that we represent.
And just so for clarity, sorry, for clarity, the intention of the item was not a response to the entire operating budget. It was specifically to the possible proposed cut to human services staff and to human services grants. I will acknowledge that the way that it is written doesn't specifically disallow conversations regarding other aspects of the city's budget. But I would say that I did not come prepared, nor is it the role of Councilmember Stone to give a full accounting of the city budget. I could just give an accounting for those aspects that were included in the intent of the budget, the agenda item.
Well, exactly, but it doesn't say on the agenda HISRAP. It says the proposed operating operating budget. So I've done a lot of research on all that, and they did propose some things. I'm not asking. Or I'm discussing, this is a commission of all of us. It's not a commission of staff and groups.
We did not say that, Commissioner. I acknowledge that the budget, the item.
Commissioner Regier, this is what I will do. I'm going to wait. You gotta let me finish. I gotta finish. That's how we keep order in the meeting. Commissioner Regier has made the point that she would like to continue the item as a broader discussion of the budget. I have also brought forward the fact that this item, as described in our last meeting, and as described in several meetings before, in the meeting, was to specifically discuss the segment of the budget which specifically dealt with human services. I can at this point entertain motions. There's one of two possible motions, two ways the motions can go. Motion number one is to continue with the deletion of the item, or the opposite motion, which is to continue the item. So right now I will step back and entertain motions.
Well, I move for motion one.
Okay.
Because of your comments, Coloma, and Mika's comments, and possibly Greer's thoughts, I think we're unprepared to have a lengthy discussion.
Can we have the motion is on the floor at this time. Can I have a second? Is there anyone that would like to second the motion? Commissioner
I'll second
Kraus?
the motion.
Commissioner Everly, thank you. At this point, motion is up for discussion.
Are we going to order or how are we going to do this?
Anybody has any discussion points on the motion?
Well, I guess my discussion is, I think human resources is a big terminology. You can't specify it for human resources in regards to the specific HISRAP. You can do it specifically, but there has been discussions of many things and we have been meeting. And I think human resources as a community, as a commission, is the library, is other issues. And if we're not prepared to discuss this as a commission and how it impacts our human relations and our role and how protecting and serving the community, I think it's sad. What are we as a Human Relations Commission if we're not discussing the human resources of the budget that's going to be cut? And human resources are not just things that we fund or that the city, it's all the resources and how it impacts the city.
Okay.
So that's my argument why it should stand. And if we're saying we didn't do our homework, we should have we live in our city. We know what's important and we should have some say in how and some thoughts.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gare. All right, we've heard it. Is there any other discussion points? All right.
Well, just to reiterate what I had already said and what you, the chair, had already said, we have discussed this in the past.
All right. So we've had discussion. We will hold a vote. I will start at the I will start from the bottom of the alphabet, which is me, and then I'll work our way back up as requested earlier. I vote to continue the motion. I vote for the motion. Commissioner Savage.
I also vote for the motion.
Commissioner Gare.
No.
Commissioner Kraus. You have to unmute. Please unmute, Commissioner Kraus.
Yeah, all the votes have to be oral.
Yes, I vote for the motion. Sorry.
And Commissioner Everly.
And I'll also vote for the motion.
Thank you, Commission. The item has been deleted from this. Are there any other agenda changes, requests, or deletions? Okay, thank you. All right, we are now have oral communication. We have one hand up. Yes, okay. Public has 2 minutes to speak. It is now open. Staff, please take it away.
Thank you, Chair. Hold on, my participants always go to a different screen once Mary puts on the thing. So Aram James, your hand is up. You have 2 minutes to talk. Go ahead, please.
Hey, good evening. Hope everybody's well. Missed some meetings and I'll probably miss a few more, but I just wanted to come on Just to give you and the chair a little bit of information, I have prominently on my fence here in Palo Alto, people have been very tolerant, 2 signs that read, "This is a Black Lives Matter zone," and also a sign that reads, "Fire Police Captain Zach Perone." And on my Black Lives Matter signs, I have little Palestinian flags, and they have not been messed with for way more than a year. Yesterday, and they may have been put up before that, I discovered on one of my Black Lives Matter signs with the Palestinian side, they put a decal on there with a hammer and sickle, with a circle around it, and a not sign. So no communists. So I guess the inference is, and they did that on the back of my pickup truck. So just bringing it to your attention, I did call Agent Souza from the Palo Alto Police Department and Andrew Binder, and I took my wife out and my sister-in-law, who's been living with us for quite some time, and just showed it to them. Leave it for somebody else to decide whether that, I mean, it seemed aggressive, it seemed vandalism, but I don't know whether it raises to the level of a hate crime. I'm going to keep an eye on it. Also on the 19th of June, I'm going to have a small event that will probably change the demographics of my community for a few hours. I will let the police know about that as well. I'm hopeful that I won't have the police roll up. They'll be invited, at least one, to that event. Anyway, hope everyone stays well. I will be absent for a little longer while I'm doing a little resting, and hope to see all of you before too long. And welcome to the 2 new members.
Thank you, Mr. James.
Mr. James, it is really good to hear your voice. It was missing last month, and I love your commentary. I am, first of all, I want to apologize to anybody in our community that experiences anything that marginalizes or belittles whatever their political stand is. You know, as the DA so clearly stated to us, it was a hate crime requires some sort of misdemeanor or felony underneath it, but a hate incident is speech that offends or pushes against somebody's belief, and I believe that's a hate incident. So, Mr. James, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. And that's my deepest apologies to you. All right. We are now at minutes. Sorry. Let us go to minutes, please. We have the minutes from May 13th, 2021. As the commissioners reviewed and read them, are there any changes that you would like to make to those meeting minutes, or any inaccuracies you'd like to address in those meeting minutes? The one thing for our new commissioners, they used to give us the whole transcript minutes. These minutes are a lot easier to go through because they moved to sense minutes, which I actually feel is a good start. If there are no changes, I would like to receive a motion to approve the minutes.
Chair, may I interject for a second?
Yes.
And that is just as a reminder that Commissioners Kraus and Eberly would just need to abstain because they were not present at the last meeting.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, staff.
I move to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second on the motion? I'll second the motion. Thank you. Let's go with votes. I vote to approve the minutes. Commissioner Savage.
I approve.
Commissioner Regehr.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Minutes have been approved unanimously. All right. Tonight we have 2 new commissioners with us. Commissioner Michelle Kraus and Adriana Eberly. what I would like to do is give each of them about 2 or 3 minutes just to introduce themselves and tell them a little, tell the community and the rest of the commission about themselves. Because we are grateful to anybody that is willing to volunteer, to give up time unpaid, to engage in these discussions, because serving on a commission is definitely not a free ride, particularly Human Relations Commission. You know, for some of us, it could end up being a 10 to 15 hour a week job, right, Minka? So we are great. So we're grateful for these two new commissioners. So let's do top of the alphabet, Commissioner Everett.
Thank you. My name is Adriana Eberly. I have lived in Palo Alto for over 10 years. I have 2 kids who have gone through the school system. One is at JLS and one is at Pali. I work in indigent defense. I'm a lawyer and I'm happy to work in this commission. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Eberly. Commissioner Krause.
Hi, I'm Michelle Krause, and I've lived in Palo Alto or the surrounding areas for almost 3 decades. I'm a very long-term renter, so I understand housing at its very core. I came here as a young graduate student, paying off my student loans. So there were no choices at that moment in time, and that was the time to buy, not 30 years later. Any event, the PhD was worth it, and it has defined my career. I work in tech, I work in policy. I also provide expert witness testimony on the norms of Silicon Valley. I've done libel, digital libel, and really established some of the benchmarks for understanding how different that is from regular libel. And we can chat about that offline. In any event, the policy arena is a home to me, and I am ecstatic at having the opportunity to serve and to give back. I hope that the city will take us continuously important, because there's no more important series of questions that are coming before everybody's lives today. And I believe that minorities and any unprivileged unit or group should not be compromised, should not have violence, should not be not accepted. So let's go forward, and I look forward to experiencing each of you and doing some good works. So thank you.
Thank you so much, each of you, for thank you each of you for choosing to serve. We are grateful for each of you. Now I want to move into where I would like Commissioner Savage and Commissioner Regehr and myself to also introduce ourselves to you, because you've probably seen our name on the roster, but we haven't introduced ourselves. I will start with myself. My name is Reverend Coloma Smith. My mother did not name me Reverend. I serve as the pastor of the University AME Zion Church in Palo Alto. I moved from the New York metro area 8 years ago to fulfill that position. And I have been a long-term renter, not as long as Commissioner Krause, but if I stay here, I will definitely end up in the same category because of the same situations. In that this is my second term on the Human Relations Commission. I'm extremely proud of the work that we have been able to accomplish everything from addressing issues around ICE, the Palo Alto Mediation Program, where we were able to at least start engaging in police reform, which I think we have more work to do, hate crimes, Black and brown lives. So I feel like this commission has really done some heavy work in the past year and a half, and I think we're on a trajectory to continue to do more. At this time, Commissioner Regier, Commissioner Savage, whoever would like to go first.
Well, okay, I'll go. I'm Daryl Savage. I don't know where to begin. I've done a bunch of different things. I'm a long-term HRC person with a few breaks in between, but probably at least for 15 years, I've been involved with the HRC. Greer knows that. I served with him. And let's see, I was a reporter for the Palo Alto Weekly. I wrote the Shop Talk column up until about 5 to 6 years ago. Then I became involved with the FBI, and I was community outreach specialist for the San Francisco division. And here I am today.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Savage. And now Commissioner Regier.
I moved to Sunnyvale when I was 10 and I'm 65. So I've been, I went away to college and lived in Massachusetts where I was on the County Human Relations Commission and I ran many projects. I studied community studies and how to get people engaged. That's my specialty and how to get people engaged in their community and what makes a community. I worked for Service Employees International Union and AFSCME, American Federation of County State Employees. So I represent city employees and other human resource relations, different nonprofits as a union member. I was director of the Birthplace Resource Center in Menlo Park. And then I raised my children. I have 2 children and we moved to Palo Alto 25 years ago from Redwood City. And I moved to Palo Alto because of all the great services, and I always loved Palo Alto, even when I was little, what it did and what it had, so I joined the Human Relations Commission because I really love the city and I love the community, and I really knew that there's a lot of. I also was a substitute teacher. I got the Substitute of the Year award in Palo Alto, and I substituted. I was the career substitute, so I knew most of the families at every school, and I mean, so many, because I subbed every day for 20 years. And so I came for many reasons, but many of them because of what was happening to the kids in the schools and certain things that were being cut, like the junior museum. I mean, and safe parking was really a big thing for me. I really wanted to take care of that, and just disparities that I was finding in the city. And I was hoping that I could really bridge the gap, because I've done everything, except I hadn't been staff, but I've represented staff members. And I thought being on the commission, we could all work together on having a vision of what we want our city to be.
Thank you so much. I think our city is very, how can I say, is extremely blessed to have this level of expertise in a volunteer capacity. Each of you brings so much to the table. So we are excited to see what we do in the next 3 years together. Thank you. All right, let's move to discussion of HISRAP reviewers on contingency plan for possible human service resource allocation process. To bring everybody up to speed, the Finance Committee has made 2 recommendations that impact HISRAP funding for 1 year, understanding that HISRAP is a 2-year funding cycle. There's $50,000 from a Stanford, $50,000 from a Stanford
University
funding pool.
Medical Center. It's a pool of money that was offset money that the Stanford gave to the city, and they wanted it to use for a community and human services issue. And the second recommendation was from the full council. So yes, one was from finance, one was from full council.
And then it was $150,000 for 1 year. Remember, I said HISRAP is a 2-year cycle, but just for 1 year. And it was for 150,000. The council conversation regarding funding, providing immediate relief. The concern of the council was they wanted to provide relief for nonprofits in light of what has happened with COVID. So Minka asked the review panel for the original HISRAP to go back and have a discussion to say, what is a contingency plan that we can come up with, given that we won't meet until August and the council will vote on these possibilities on the 21st. So there's a lot of possibilities here, nothing in stone. So we're just trying to be proactive and give recommendations. So the committee on HISRAP, the HISRAP committee or review committee at the time felt like, first of all, the original HISRAP criteria is for a 2-year grant. So it would be unfair to a nonprofit to give them, let's say, an extra $10,000 this year, and then the next year, and they ramp up a program based on this money, and then they have to go find the money or scale the program back in the second year because they don't get the extended funding of HISRAP. The second part of it, and I think it's in the spirit of the language, was that they said immediate relief because of COVID. The HISRAP grantees started writing this at the beginning of writing their original package at the beginning of COVID. And the situation on the ground is very fluid and changed. So needs and things might be changed. You'll hear when we go over the emerging needs fund, some of the up-to-date challenges that people are actually dealing with post-COVID. So after talking to them, we felt like the best recommendation was to start a separate HISRAP process that would be able to take in new grantees, meet what new people are doing, XYZ, and go from there. So that is where I am. So our recommendation is, if council, and we can only recommend, this is nothing's written in stone. If council, when they meet on the 21st and they say, go ahead with the HISRAP process, I would like our recommendation to be, let us open it up, allow for a certain amount of weeks for people to get their bids in and go through the process so that by the fall, people can get the emergency funding that they need.
Can I just add
yes.
some more information, Chair, just based on something you said that may lead folks to think a little different, because you said open it up to new nonprofits. This will go to the same bidders list that went out for there's all these ifs along the way, to the same bidders list that got for HISRAP. And for the new members, basically, I look at the types of programs and services that HISRAP funds. And then I have a list of organizations that serve Palo Altans. They don't have to be in Palo Alto. And we send out the funding announcement to them. So in the current budget, there are recommendations for this funding program for a 2-year cycle that's in the council's proposed operating budget. What the subcommittee, what the reviewers are suggesting, and to let you know, that is Chair Smith, and that is a former commissioner, Mehdi Alasani, and a community member, Becky Beacom, who worked for years as an education lead at Palo Alto Medical Foundation. So what this would do, it would be that application would go out to that very same list regarding this opportunity for funding. So, and then those applications will be reviewed and then approved based on the recommendations of the HRC, and then going on to council in some way. So in theory, let's just call Agency A. Agency A could have a 2-year HISRAP grant. And most of the HISREP grants are like programs and services supporting staff members. Agency A could also qualify for this special additional money for HISREP, but knowing that it's only for 1 year. So they might, whatever they apply for, it might look a little bit differently than what they would ask for funding for 2 years. As the chair said, the thinking was that, because it wasn't, you know, the city, in the motion from the council, it said it was for fiscal year 22. So that it was the thinking of the committee to go forward with this recommendation. So a current HISREP grantee could get their 2-year grant, and they could be approved for a 1-year grant as well. Or someone new comes into the picture as well.
Or there could be a specific need. Like we did emerging needs the other day, and somebody was financially challenged because they had to buy all of this PPE and all of this other stuff to open up. So there are different things that people are facing as the reality of reopening and doing programs and expenses and things that we can now open up wider. And I think that was our thinking. So right now I want to open it up to, this is the way we're going to do it. I will open it up to comments from the commissioners. Then I will go to public comment.
I would,
yes,
Chair,
ma'am.
it would be questions first.
I'm going to do questions after we do the first round of discussions.
Okay.
But before we go, I want Councilmember Stone. Do you have anything to say, add that would help us in this discussion?
No, I mean, I don't think anything really to add right now. I think Minka kind of summarized the council's direction on this and really what seemed to be the intent. Of course, I can't speak on behalf of the whole council on the intent, but yeah, I think this really was one, a feeling that HISREP has been really underfunded for a very long time, that we haven't been providing the proper sources, the proper resources to our nonprofits that serve the community, and especially the need to be able to I think respond to emerging needs, especially as we emerge from the pandemic, for some of these more underserved communities, was seemed to be what a lot of the discussion was revolving around at our council meeting, and those were definitely the reasons for my support of this. So I think Minka summarized it well. I'm happy to weigh in if you want me to during your discussion, but I don't really have too much more to add right now.
So let's start at the bottom of the alphabet again, and in the next round we will do the top. We'll go from the top. Commissioner Savage.
Yeah, well, it sounds like the HISREP reviewers gave this considerable thought. And so I do support the recommendations. I get it, no questions. It's a good plan.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. Commissioner Regehr.
No comments or questions.
Commissioner Krause.
I just have one question of clarification, and maybe it's because I haven't served in the past, but are you referring to a qualified list of potential recipients, or are you opening it broader beyond those that are known or pre-qualified?
There are no pre-qualified agencies for HISREP. It is sent out to organizations that address human services needs as identified in what we call a priority of needs. So those priority of needs, if you've worked in funding, is basically allowable funding categories. So there's not a process to get pre-qualified. And there's nothing that says you can't be an organization of 2 people or an organization of 1,000.
Okay.
And we go through a process the November before the 2-year cycle starts. So we did it last November, where we say, what is the scope of what we want HISRAP to cover? And that's how we get those. We look at the community and needs, and we actually try to make it as broad as possible, because we want, we have some very strict funding under the CDBG bucket. So we want to give HISRAP to give us some flexibility. So Commissioner Eberly.
Thank you. I do first have a clarification question.
Mhm.
So I understand that the normal HISRAP cycle is 2 years. So every 2 years, these organizations can apply. Now, is this, I know you've mentioned 1 year, is this just a one-time funding, or it's just once?
It's
As
one
of today, it's one time.
with the information, yes, that's the chair said, with the information we have today, it's one time, because the referral from the council said it was for fiscal year 22. Now yes, so that's why it's for one time.
Yeah, that's why I kept stressing it. There was a 1 year, one time thing as of today.
Okay. And then is it qualified at all as, for example, they need to use it as for COVID related emerging needs, or no, it can be anything?
No.
Any program.
The council did not specify that. Now, it's possible that if this raises to a conversation at the June 21st, when the council finalizes the budget, it could be that a council member says, hey, let's go back to this discussion on HISRAP. I really want to do X, Y, Z. And then it'll come back to the HRC and go, oh, they want to do that they wanted to do something more specific. Those conversations have not come up. So that is why the HRC is being proactive, because they have they want to have this conversation and have a contingency plan in place, so that if the council gives no further direction, and staff can work to do a new RFP, if that's in the end what happens, as soon as possible. The commission is not meeting in July, so the staff and the leadership did not want to wait till August to be able to do something. The council said immediate relief. So staff is responding to that direction to try to work with the commission to work through a plan as soon as possible. But it is not impossible that the council might not give more direction at its 21st meeting, and then the HRC will go with the direction that the council provides.
Thank you.
So tonight is basically a discussion on a contingency plan. And the recommended, because whatever the contingency plan is, if it goes, we want to be able to make sure that I don't have to call an emergency meeting in July or to say, hey, how do we do this? So our recommendation is to instruct staff to start this new 1 year bid process on an ask them to start that process on an expedited thing, and that be our contingency plan.
Right, after the council,
if the council goes this direction, if, I'm picking all my words correctly, if, maybe, and when, if it happens, when it happens, if it could happen, if they say, the council says there is this bucket, it could only be 50,000, it could be 150,000, it could be 200,000, it could be any, there's nothing in stone right now.
And can I weigh in here?
Yes, sir.
Again, I can't speak on behalf of the entire council. I would be surprised if on the 21st, at really the 11th hour, the council focused on this, because this is it's a very important issue. But compared to the full budget and where council is likely going to spend their time, I'd be pretty surprised if that happened. And I don't think we've been asked, at least by staff, and I'm sure council is going to want to do this as well, to really not be making substantive changes, since on the 21st we really need to pass the budget. So I'm confident that this is where it'll be, but of course, who knows what my colleagues will do, but that's at least me reading the tea leaves.
Thank you, Councilmember Stone, for that insight. So I would like to put a motion on the floor. Now we go, yes. Oh, no, sorry, public comment.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sorry. We are now open for public comment. If you'd like to make any comments at this time, please raise your hand.
I don't see any hands, Chair.
Thank you much. Thank you, staff. At this time, I would entertain motions. I'll actually make the motion this time because it came from my report. The motion that I would like to propose is that we go with we give to council a recommendation, and if this moves ahead, that we go with a separate 1-year HSRAP process for these emergency funding, instruct staff to start outlining and working on that process as quickly as possible.
Can we, I'm going to ask Mary not to maybe on the screen, but can you maybe restate that so Mary can, because I will be passing this on, so I'd like it just to be like a very specific
Okay.
sentence, like the Human Relations Committee moves that. So
Yeah.
Mary, are you able to take minutes right now on that?
Yes.
Do you want me to put it on the screen? I do have a.
No, don't put it on the screen. I'll just say it.
Okay.
I'll just say it. It just says this. Okay. The Human Relations Commission of the City of Palo Alto would like to make the following recommendation to the City Council in the deliberation on the budget of this year.
Okay, so hold on one, slow down. Would like to make the,
Following recommendations on the budget of this year directly dealing with the extended fund for HSRAP. Our recommendation is that we open up a separate 1-year process for the new funds for HSRAP.
Maybe put for any new,
For any new, for
any
any,
new recommended funding
funds,
for
yes.
HSRAP.
yeah, for any new recommended funding for HSRAP. I think that should cover it. Yeah,
Or fiscal year 22.
fiscal year. Well, fiscal year
Well,
22.
that's true. Let's, that, you are
That
very
too.
true. Let's keep that off.
Yes, let's keep that off. Thank you. All right. That is my motion. Can I get a second, please?
I second.
Second.
Thank you. We have Commissioner Krause and Commissioner Savage both second at the same time. Thank you. And then right now we are at that discussion. Does anybody have any questions on the motion? Or any discussion points on the motion?
Could you clarify one bit of language
Yes,
where you
ma'am.
said any funding? Could you do any and all parenthetically?
I don't think we can do any and all because there's already other funds for HSRAP. So we can't use the
Okay.
word all. So
Okay,
there's a bucket of 550,000 that's already out there. So
I didn't know that.
Mhm.
I just wanted to give them breath.
I like the all, but I would usually go with the all. All right. Any other discussion points on the motion, please? All right. I am ready. I'm ready to take a vote on this matter. If hearing no other discussion points, we'll start at the top of the alphabet this time. Commissioner Everly,
I vote to approve.
thank you. Commissioner Krause,
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Regier,
Aye.
Commissioner Savage,
Aye.
Chair Smith, aye. Thank you. We have passed that unanimously. Okay, so now I'm excited to talk about the 100 conversations. And I am going to be seeking volunteers to help with this too. All right. As you know, myself and our former vice chair, Valerie Stinger, started a momentous project called 100 Conversations at the direction of council, and we've been working on it for 6 months. I'm happy to say that the bird has left the nest. We've trained, as of this evening, 64 individuals to lead small groups. We've had our first 4 conversations in people's homes about race and belonging and community. And the group sizes ranged from 4 through 9 people in the groups. So it's rolling. We had some bumps along the way, but it is really rolling out well. The other thing that we got back was really good demographic data. So we know who was there, where they're from, all that stuff that I think will be helpful for us to really help develop this further. We need help with the next phase of the project, which is we have these 60-something groups as of today that will finish on June 19th, and we will have a ream of data that we actually need to sit, analyze, put together, because we have to go back and report it to the council, because this was a council mandate. You know, it was interesting. I tell you, Commissioner Everly, we did our first beta group. It was 4 or 5 older white ladies that were in the group, and they loved it. Great conversation back and forth. And one of the questions is, we asked them, do they feel like they belong in Palo Alto? And you know what they said? 2 or 3 of them out of the 4 said, I don't feel like I belong. Which was stunning to me, right? Because I'm not in that demographic category. I don't have the information. I don't know. But it was stunning to me, because if I felt if anybody should feel like they belong, it should be them. And they basically, and you know, as we started looking at the data, they basically said, this wasn't the town I moved into 20 or 30 years ago. Or, you know, the places are too expensive. There were other reasons why. So we're really looking to crank in on the data, because as we start going back to council, we want to give them not our impression, not our narrative, but what the data is providing to them. So I will open up for comments from the public, and then I will entertain questions from the commissioners, and we can go from there.
So if any members of the public want to give comment on agenda item number 3, update on 100 community conversations, please do so now. There are no hands, Chair.
Thank you. Let's start from the top of the alphabet. Again, we'll start with Commissioner Everly.
Thank you. That sounds really exciting, and I'm really, really curious to see what the data showed.
Mm-hmm.
How many people participated?
So we have 64 group leaders, and we actually think it's more like 58 group leaders, because there's a couple of people that are going to do it as a pair. And we are anticipating 5 to 6 people per group by the time we average out. So let's say 250 or 270 will be our total group discussion, maybe more. You know, so we don't have the final actual participation number until after June 19th.
Okay. And did these meetings take place? They took place in person, or is it over Zoom?
It's up to the group leader what they're comfortable with and what their peer group's comfortable with. Because what we did was, you know, we did the recruitment of the group leader. We said, go get your friends. So, you know, I've heard some people want to do, like, you know, social difference, coffee in the front yard, and some people are more comfortable on Zoom. But since we're asking them to talk to their peer group, it is up to the person to decide what's comfortable for them.
And how were they put together? Were they diverse in any way?
So this was the interesting thing. We developed the training guide with the folks at the Stanford Spark Center. And what it was designed to do was to work with a group of people that were peers or that were in the same group. Now, we wanted them to have, and the goal was to have an honest discussion about race, ethnicity, belonging in the city of Palo Alto among their peer group. So given the demographics of Palo Alto, the likelihood of these groups being hyper diverse is very slim just because of just the demographic numbers. But it was designed to the design of this was to force a group of people in the same demographic groups to start having an honest dialogue about belonging, race, and ethnicity in the city. And I can send you, I can have staff send you the actual training guide that we gave to each leader and the layout and format for each group so that you can see what that looks like.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Commissioner Kraus.
Oh, I've just got so many questions, but
I could tell.
you can tell because I'm moving around. I think this is the beginning of great things. We have to collect data because otherwise we're just talking, shall we say, in our hat.
Yeah.
And this is very important that we get the methodology correct. So I'd love to review any materials you have. As my colleague, the former commissioner, and I'd like to understand more. And I'd like to encourage this particular commission to embark on future adventures that will result in the collection of hard numbers so we can make better decisions going forward. So yes, I'd like to work on it. Yes, I'd like to help you define your methodology, but no, I can't. And I don't think I'd be useful in doing the minute statistical analysis. All right? And we can talk about that if you need.
We could definitely do that. So this is what I'll probably end up doing. I will have, so that we don't violate the Brown Act.
Right.
I will have staff send out the actual training packet and the presentation to everybody so that everybody can see and go from there. And then we can possibly set up a call with the two new commissioners and former Vice Chair Stinger, and she can explain where she's at. And then you get a really good grasp of where we're going. And I don't violate the Brown Act by doing that.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner McGeer.
I have nothing to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Savage.
Yeah, well, hearing that there have been more than 60 group leaders is astonishing to me. So congratulations for that kind of outreach. And Cher, and when you first started this, and I read that you had hoping to do 100 community conversations on race, I thought it was a typo and it should have been 10. And that you really meant 100 was just, I think, oh, never will happen. But yeah, it is going to happen. So congratulations, and yeah, can't wait to see the results.
Thank you so much. I think it shows a real shift in attitude in the city because when we did our first group of conversations, me and Minka and Valerie did Crossing the Line together with Joe Brown from Stanford, we struggled to get 80 people to show up to one conversation. The idea, 4 years later, that we now have 64 group leaders going out and talking is absolutely amazing. One of the interesting stories I heard, I don't think Minka knows this yet, Joseph Brown was recruited by one of the people that led the groups to actually be a person sitting in the group. So it's crazy. The guy that we brought in 3 or 4 years ago, his neighbor invited him to be part of the conversation. So there's some real symmetry to what we're doing. Councilmember Stone, and I know you've had a lot of experience on the Human Relations Commission, so I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I just want to applaud the commission for your work on this. I agree with Commissioner Savage. When I first heard about it, I thought this was going to be a very ambitious plan and difficult to meet, and you're doing it. And I think these are the conversations that need to be had. And I'm really eager to kind of see the report and what comes from this, and would encourage any type of recommendations that the HRC can make from the data you're going to pull from all this. And yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction, and it's an HRC that the city is very proud of.
Thank you so much. Since this was only a discussion, I don't have anything else to discuss. If there's no other points, we have some stuff that staff owes you and I owe you to set up, but I think we're good to go from here. All right. Let's go to the final piece. Update the next steps on items related to fiscal year 21-22. All right.
That was taken off the agenda, Chair.
That was the updated plan.
You said the updated agenda, or the updated budget, or the updated work plan?
Updated work plan.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you, sir.
Sorry. Yeah, I was like, we didn't take the work plan off. That's the longest item on the docket tonight. Okay. Do we have that to put on screen, staff? Or I know I caught you off guard. I didn't tell you I was going to do it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what we as a commission have to do. First of all, we currently do not have a vice chair. After talking with staff and reading the rule book, what I want to do, because I feel it's unfair to ask two people to come in and vote cold. You know, they haven't worked with anybody. They don't have any experience or exposure to people. I think it would not be a fair ask to ask new people to vote tonight on who should be the vice chair. Maybe they want to be the vice chair, who knows? So we will pick up the election of our next vice chair in the fall, because I think that is a good time to do it. It will give Commissioner Krause and Commissioner Everly time to work with and interact with more of the commission, maybe a meeting or two, so that they can make a more educated decision, and we don't ask them to make a working decision that impacts people for a year just off of 15 minutes of meeting. So it's not fair. So we'll start there. Other thing that we have to do is, because we lost 2 commissioners, we have to start looking at our work plan and asking commissioners to step into spots. So as staff brings up our work plan, I'll explain how we got here. There's 2 components to the work plan. Generally, every year at our retreat, which is held now in February, after the city council gives its priorities, we as a commission meet and vote and go through what our priorities are. In years past, we've had as many as 20 priorities. I personally, since I've been chair, I've tried to slim it down to 3 or 4 priorities, just because I feel like it's better to go deep than wide. If something comes up, it even gives us capacity to take on more, although being down to 5 commissioners now, that's really hard. The second part of this is that we are actually mandated in the new commissioner manual and the new process to develop a plan that can be reviewed by the city council and approved. And if any significant changes need to happen to the plan, we need to go to council. The HRC is a little different than most commissions in that there's some parts of our mandate to meet human issues in the city that give us more on the ground flexibility than, say, a parks or arts project kind of space, because we're dealing with human issues. So this is what we have, and this is the plan as voted on and gone through. Our first steps is inclusion and belonging, community conversations about race, suggestions to address individual structures on racism. We anticipate a timeline for review means that we've completed a significant segment of work. So for example, the 100 conversations have finished, and now we're at summer 2021. So we're looking at the data, we're making a report to the city. Is it something that we continue to work through, or is it something that we now hand over to somebody else, or it birthed its own thing? I'll give you an example. Minka, Valerie, and Stephen, when he was on the commission, worked on LGBTQ, and they did a lot of different workshop and group meetings. And Minka, how did that end up going and being birthed out of the commission? You can explain it better than me.
Well, what the two commissioners, Commissioner Singer and Commissioner Lee, did is they started leading a series of community provider meetings with groups that work on LGBT issues. And then at one point that became like the North County, LGBTQ Concerns Committee. I don't have the name in front of me. I would say that since COVID, that has not continued to meet, but I know that there's continued interest in doing so. But I think all those agencies are overwhelmed. There were 2 agencies that took over for the commissioners is regards to the leadership, but there were a lot of positive things that came out of there, including the birthing of an amazing LGBTQ programming at Avenidas that Supervisor Joe Simidian funded, and that program is ongoing and it just continues to expand. So that's the update I have.
So I use that as an example of sort of like a terminus point where it comes from a human relations thing to a policy community activity thing. So we can get to, say, we get towards the inclusion and belonging conversation, and we do our data and we go to council. Our recommendation might be policy, it might be doing more community conversations, it might be other actions. But in that summer 2021 time is when we're going to do that moment of review and reflection and go, okay, let's move forward. How do we work with this? It's an ad hoc subcommittee. It was created by myself and Commissioner Stinger. Of course, Vice Chair Stinger is no longer on it. So we're looking for somebody else to partner with me on it. So that's where we are. Okay. We have inclusion and belonging, hate crimes and hate-based incidents. We did a lot of work around that beginning of the year. We collected data, we had the DA come in. I think the person that really was a good catalyst or a good starting point for this discussion was my predecessor, Commissioner Gabe Kralik. He brought somebody to talk about AAPI hate incidents last year. What was it, February? And to talk about this before it was even a news story. And then as we saw incidents boil up in the summer. So right now, we want to move forward with it. We already have a letter that's been created. We sent it to the council. We want to continue the discussion around it. I think it is extremely valid. The problem was it was myself and Commissioner Turial. And we don't have so we need commissioners to fill those slots. We have housing and homeless advocacy. We've been in the discussion around those that are dealing with homelessness or housing scarcity. We've had several working sessions where we met Rachel Turner from the city. We've had Amber and company from Move Mountain View. We've had the county come in, and we are just looking for ways to be really effective or add to the conversation in really healthy ways. Whether one of the places I think we could have really great work in is how do we get people comfortable to move into the lots or those kind of things, or how do we increase community awareness that the lots at churches are not like a cesspool for gangs, like there's so many other places. Commissioner Regier was working with Commissioner Tirial on that. Commissioner Tirial is no longer with us, but so we would like for somebody to work with Commissioner Regier, because I believe housing scarcity is going to be a significant challenge for our community and those around us over the next few months. All right, we still need we need that to be determined as far as what our measures of effectiveness are. The other thing is public health, to create a public awareness campaign to bring knowledge and understanding to the community in order to lessen the stigma of mental health issues. This is under the banner of Commissioner Savage and Commissioner Regier. We're hearing significant stories in our community, particularly in the high school and college population, of significant challenges coming back into social environments. We're hearing social anxiety of people getting back to their normal life. People are quitting before they go back into office. So there's a lot going on in our community, and as we ramp up to whatever the new normal is, so that is the ongoing work of Commissioner Regier and Commissioner Savage. And, so we're still waiting. That needs to be determined where we're going to end up. We're probably going to, I know, Minka, we were talking about bringing in somebody. Who are we talking about bringing in? Yes, go.
Yes, we were talking about bringing in Mary Gloner from Project Safety Nets. So that is a group that Commissioner Regier is the HRC's liaison to.
Okay. And then finally, we have emerging issues. Because we don't have a plate too full with many things, if there are issues in the community that people see and that we can identify and say, this needs to be tackled, and we want to go deep on it, this is the place that we need to do it. So this is an opportunity. So I'm going to stop talking, because I've been talking for a long time, and I wanted to know if there are any questions or thoughts on this. And it's open. Making me, what? Let us have. Are there any public comments at this time? Minka, you're muted.
It's like a year later, and I think we all have still instances where people say you're still muted. So
every day, every day for me.
So I just stopped sharing for a second. Let me look. Are there any members of the public that want to address the Human Relations Commission on their work plan? I don't see any hands, Chair.
Councilmember Stone, as our liaison, do you have any input, thoughts on this plan?
No, I don't think so. I'm interested to just kind of watch this conversation and see what direction you go in.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start from the bottom of the alphabet and go to the top, so that we give those that have the most experience with this plan an opportunity to speak, and we'll go from there. Commissioner Regier. No, sorry. Oh, no, Commissioner Savage, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no real comments, no questions. You got it. You covered it.
Thank you much. Commissioner Regier.
Same.
Thank you. Commissioner Krause.
The same. You covered it.
And Commissioner Everly.
I'm trying to remember. It's hard because we weren't part of the retreat, so we're coming in fresh. And I don't, is there a way to email us the work plan or to reshare it?
So this is what I will do.
Okay.
I'm not going to put you on the spot. I will have staff share with you the work plan, and I will reach out to each one of you and see which areas you would be most interested in engaging in.
Thank you.
Because I saw relief on everybody's face, like, I don't have to figure this out tonight. And you can ask me whatever questions you want. And hopefully, my hope is that we can connect you into a working group over the next month and a half to really dive in on those spaces. Staff, and I know I did not talk to you about this, liaison assignments. Do we have that list?
I can say those orally. Mary's having a problem with her
That's all right.
network, and so just for the new members, I think we went over this at our training as well, but there are some special assignments that the Human Relations Commission has, and some of them are ongoing, and then some of them are at certain times of the year. So those would be HISRAP. You heard that was already decided for the 2-year process, but if things go as it looks, we will need a subcommittee to help us work on the 1-year grants. Community Development Block Grant, that comes up every 2 years for the bigger ones. That every year there is some action with CDBG that is different than HISRAP. So that is to HRC members as well. Emerging Needs Fund, that is something that is another subcommittee of 2 HRC members and a member of the city staff other than myself that has grant management experience. So that is something that comes up 3 to 4 times a year. And we never know how many applications we can, that we may get. Then there are some organizations that represent like key interests or concerns of the Human Relations Commission. One is, and that's the list that staff should have had ready, and I'm sorry that we won't, but we will get that out when we send out the work plan, and we'll see if there's still a current member, or really at this point, it's just Commissioner Savage, Smith, and Regier who remembers what the assignments are. So that is with Avenidas, the major senior services provider in the community. Project Safety Net, which is was formerly part of the city, now a private nonprofit, works on youth well-being and suicide prevention, and Commissioner Regier is the liaison to them. Palo Alto Mediation Program, which is a group of volunteer mediators that does landlord, tenant, neighbor to neighbor. And we like to have an HRC commissioner liaise to them. That was Vice Chair Singer, so that is a current opening. Palo Alto Police Department, the HRC has traditionally had a relationship with the police department, and that has, you know, those nuances have changed over the years, but we usually have 1 or 2 commissioners that do try to meet with the chief once or twice a year. So that that was Commissioner Savage and Commissioner Dutouré, who is not on the commission any longer. So we do still have 1 remaining person there. And if anybody can help me if I forgot something, but those are the relationships that the HRC has.
Wow.
Mhm.
Your brother trying to call you?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
I'll just go back. So with Project Safety Net or PAPD or Avenidas or PAMP, you know, sometimes that's really what the person wants to make of it. Like Commissioner Regier, I believe Project Safety Net has either monthly or quarterly meetings, and she goes to that. If they had monthly meetings, that wouldn't be saying if you say you want to be the liaison, you have to go monthly. You know, you go as often as you can. With Avenidas, maybe meeting with them once a year with the purpose, this is not an oversight purpose. The purpose is to saying, you know, seniors are a concern for the Human Relations Commission. Tell me what's new, or what are you doing, or so forth. Maybe the first time you meet with them, it's like, well, can you tell me a little bit about Avenidas? But maybe 6 to 8 months later, it's like, you know, is there any new trends that are going on with seniors? So it's not oversight. It's saying this is an issue the HRC has concerned about. With Palo Alto Mediation Program, it's a little bit different because there's a historical relationship with that group, and there is actually some written guidelines that talk about the connection of that relationship and the role and responsibility the Human Relations Commission has in that. So that one's the one that's a little bit different.
So staff, is there any way I can send that list to with the openings to our newer individuals? Michelle?
I have the work plan already ready to send. I just needed to add the other ones. Do you specifically have it in front of you? No, so that will go out either tonight or tomorrow morning to all the.
Let's try this. Let's try tomorrow morning.
Okay. I just try to be accommodating.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Mika, are you going to send it to all of us?
Of course.
Great, that's what I thought, because he suggested
Certainly.
new ones. Yeah, thank
No,
you.
certainly I'll send it to everybody. Just like earlier in the meeting, I sent you a copy of the toolkit for the 100 conversations. If I send something, I'm going to send it to all of you.
Thank you.
So we're at a good place now. I think we broke all kind of records I'm actually going to wrap this meeting up now. Commissioner Krause, Commissioner Everly, do not get used to this. The meetings are this is actually an aberration, because usually this is Commissioner Councilmember Stone is smiling because he knows I'm telling the truth, right? I just want to say to Commissioner Savage, Commissioner Regehr, and staff, thank you. We've had a very, very long run. We came out of last summer, no, 2 summers ago, and our pace has consistently picked up since then. We've had, out of the last 8 months, half of them, we've had two meetings a month. We've accomplished more and we've given more to the city than I've seen in my 5 years. So you've done a phenomenal job. Staff has done a phenomenal job supporting us and pushing forward. So I'm grateful. I want you all to enjoy the summer. Please enjoy the summer. Please enjoy the summer. And I will be reaching out to each of you as we work through some individual projects, and then we can go from there. So I would like to leave the last words to Councilmember Stone, if he has anything for us to think about before we leave for our summer break.
No, I don't want to put any extra homework on all of you, but just, yeah, a deep thanks for everything that you do for our city. I know this, having served on this commission for many years, I know it is not you don't get the fame and glory and all the thanks that you really deserve. And it really is just a lot of thankless, hard work. And especially the last couple of years, this commission has really done a really heavy lift, and it's making a difference. And the council is really paying attention and appreciate all your efforts. And I'm just so thrilled to have our new commissioners. I've had the pleasure of knowing both Michelle and Adriana before they applied for this commission, and you're all in very good hands. I think they're going to be very capable commissioners who are going to make a great contribution. And of course, thanks to the chair and Daryl and Patty as well for continuing your service. So I hope everybody has a great summer.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Look out for phone calls from me, because I'm not going to forget you. Because once August comes, we're going to have to hit the ground running with a lot of hard lifting to do. So thank you. Enjoy your evening.
We
Staff.
still have either commissioner reports or staff reports, Chair.
Okay, I forgot about those.
Sorry.
Commissioner reports? Any commissioner reports? Yes, Commissioner Aguirre.
I just had some follow-up. I was wondering if the letter was sent about the anti-Semitism to the mayor, 'cause I haven't, and what that results were, and then,
I will send it first thing tomorrow.
so that
I-
means,
That's all my fault. Staff gave me everything I needed and I did not follow through. So I will send that first thing tomorrow. I am so sorry.
so are we going to ask him to sign it before he goes on vacation, before they resume?
Yes, I will actually call them before I send it. That is all my fault. That is nobody else but mine. I am sorry.
And then, well, that since you want to wrap it up, that's it. Thank you.
No. Everybody's allowed to talk. Like, there's no gag orders. Is there anything else you want to share, right, Commissioner Aguirre? Okay. Thank you. Staff, anything else you want to share?
Yes, I have been asked to remind the HRC to fill out the demographic survey that was sent out by Chantal Cotton Gaines, the deputy city manager. I am looking at our 2 new commissioners because at this point, it just struck me that I'm not sure you were on. That went out a couple weeks ago, so I'm not sure that you got it. So I will try to find it and get it to you because you're both looking at me like I have not seen this. So I will take care of that as well. But I just wanted to give a reminder. I also want to remind everybody about the Summit on Women and Girls that is Saturday morning. And I'd love for you all to come. You can still sign up. And I forwarded that information to you. If anybody needs it, again, please let me know. Commissioner Regier.
Oh, I just had a couple of sorry, I know I said I wasn't going to talk, but I'm wondering because one of the things that has still been on the city council is about the, I can't even, what was it about affirmative action that Stephen Lee and Commissioner Stephen Lee.
So this is, yes.
I know
so
it doesn't have anything to do with it, but I'm wondering.
It does.
It does, but I'm wondering.
Are you talking about CEDAW?
Yeah. I'm
So,
just wondering,
yes.
that's been on the docket for many years. So are we going to request that they revisit it or?
Well, I will say that that issue was referred to the Policy and Services Committee, and they discussed it on several times. And the next step that they asked staff to work on was, doing an assessment of the needs of women and girls in the community. And we were asked to conduct this summit. So that is this. At this point, I can't tell you where the actual consideration of the ordinance is, but we were asked as first to do this summit. I'm sure when the issue of a report back comes regarding the summit, they may be discussing the other steps as well. But the summit was to look at the needs of women and girls in the community that stemmed from the earlier CDOC conversations, but also in the light of the city's work on race and equity.
And then the other question I had sent out too is I was curious about the status of Recanata Pool and disabilities, and I had sent that to you.
I saw that. I don't have an update at this time.
That was 2 years ago. We've been trying to get everyone being able to use the pool.
I don't have an update. So I will, once I have an update from Kristen, I will let you know.
Do you know, but, okay, so it's probably not in the budget either then.
I am not in recreation services, so I can't specifically say that. But all I can do is ask Kristen. I will say, as you know, our budgets have looked quite different, definitely due to the city's budget concerns due to COVID. But all I can do is look into that and provide a response.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions?
Chair, this is Michelle.
Oh, hi, Commissioner Kraus. Yes.
Thank you. Could I know about the letter that you will follow up on, but could you share a copy of that with the rest of the commissioners?
Oh, you're talking about the anti-Semitism one?
I'm sorry?
The anti-Semitism one that
Yes.
yes, I can, once I do what I need to do, I will send it to staff and staff can share.
Thank you so much.
All right. Are there any other questions? I think okay. Everybody, please enjoy your summer. Councilmember Greer, you can actually go into your 7:30 call and not have to rush off to get on. Everybody, please have a good night and we will talk soon. I will see you guys and hopefully in person in the fall.
And Chair Smith, sorry, real quick, I was embarrassed when I gave all my thanks. I forgot to thank Minka and Mary for everything that they've done.
You can't forget them.
I
You
know,
can't.
they're so great. So, thanks, Minka. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mary.
Listen, I've had the opportunity to speak to many other cities, many other people that serve in many other cities in commissioner roles, and they complain voraciously about staff and they don't help and they don't know. I'm like, I don't have no idea what you're talking about because we actually have staff that works with us. So we are grateful for our staff. So everybody, thank you. Enjoy. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank